Here's the bottom line. The Christian life, the church, our faith, are not about us. They're about Him, His plan, His kingdom, His glory. It really is the struggle of struggles. It is counterintuitive for us all. It is the thing that makes our lives messy and our relationships conflictual. It is what sidetracks our thoughts and kidnaps our desires. It is the thing below all the other things that you could point to that argues for our need for grace. It is the one battle that one never escapes. It is the one place where 10 out of 10 of us need rescue. It is the fight that God wages on our behalf to help us to remember that life is simply not about us. It is about God, His plan, His kingdom, and His glory. This is precisely why the first 4 words of the Bible may be its most important words. In the beginning, God. These are 4 thunderously important words. They really do change everything, from the way that you think about your identity, meaning, and purpose to the way that you approach even the most incidental of human duties. Everything that was created was made by God and for God. All the glories of the created world were designed to point to His glory. The universe is His, designed to function according to His purpose and plan. That includes you and me. We were not made to live independent, self-directed lives. We were not meant to exist according to our own little self-oriented plans, living for our own moments of glory. No, we were created to live for Him. Where is this Godward living meant to find expression? It is meant to be expressed not just in the religious dimension of our lives, but in every aspect of our existence. I love how Paul captures this in 1 Corinthians 10:31. So, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God. When Paul thinks of the call to live for the glory of God, he doesn't first think of the big, life-changing, self-consciously spiritual moments of life. No, he thinks of something as mundane and repetitive as eating and drinking. Even the most regular, seemingly unimportant tasks of my life must be shaped and directed by a heartfelt desire for the glory of God. Now, I don't know about you, but in the busyness of life, I lose sight of God's existence, let alone His glory. Let's start the new year by admitting that there is nothing less natural for us than to live for the glory of another. This admission is the doorway not to despair, but to hope. God knew that in your sin you would never live this way. So He sent His Son to live the life you couldn't, to die on your behalf and to rise again, conquering sin and death. He did this so that you would not only be forgiven for your allegiance to your own glory, but have every grace you need to live for His. When you admit your need for help, you connect yourself to the rescue He has already provided in His Son, Jesus. Reach out for hope by reaching out for the rescue again today. Your rest is not to be found in figuring your life out, but in trusting the one who has it all figured out for your good and His glory. We were on our way to the local mall with our 2 young boys when the 3-year-old asked out of the blue, "Daddy, if God made everything, did He make light poles?" I had the thought that all parents have, again and again as they deal with the endless why questions that little ones ask. How do we get from where we are to where we need to be in this conversation? Or, why does He have to ask me why questions all the time? Human beings have a deep desire to know and understand. We spend much of our daily mental time trying to figure things out. We don't live by instinct. We don't leave our lives alone. We are all theologians. We are all philosophers. We are all archaeologists who dig into the mounds of our lives to try to make sense of the civilization that is our story. This God-designed mental motivation is accompanied by wonderful and mysterious analytical gifts. This drive and those gifts set us apart from the rest of creation. They are holy, created by God to draw us to Him, so that we can know Him and understand ourselves in light of His existence and will dot. But sin makes this drive and these gifts dangerous. They tempt us to think that we can find our hearts by figuring it all out. It's the, if only I could understand this or that, then I'd be secure way of living. But it never works. In your most brilliant moment, you will still be left with mystery in your life, sometimes even painful mystery. We all face things that appear to make little sense and don't seem to serve any good purpose. So rest is never found in the quest to understand it all. No, rest is found in trusting the one who understands it all and rules it all for his glory and our good. Few passages capture that rest better than Psalm 62, 5-7. For God alone, O my soul, wait in silence, for my hope is from him. He only is my rock and my salvation, my fortress, I shall not be shaken. On God rests my salvation and my glory, my mighty rock, my refuge is God. In moments when you wish you knew what you can't know, there is rest to be found. There is one who knows. He loves you and rules what you don't understand with your good in mind. If eternity is the plan, then it makes no sense to shrink your living down to the needs and wants of this little moment. There is no doubt about it. The Bible is a big picture book that calls us to big picture living. It stretches the elasticity of your mind as it calls you to think about things before the world began and thousands of years into eternity. The Bible simply does not permit you to live for the moment. It doesn't give you room to shrink your thoughts, desires, words, and actions down to whatever spontaneous thought, emotion, or need grips you at any given time. In a moment, your thoughts can seem more important than they actually are. In a moment, your emotions can seem more reliable than they really are. In a moment, your needs can seem more essential than they truly are. We are meant to live lives that are connected to beginnings and to endings. And we are meant to live this way because all that we do is meant to have connection to the God of beginnings and endings, by whom and for whom we were created. It's hard to live with eternity in view. Life does shrink to the moment again and again. There are moments when it seems that the most important thing in life is getting through this traffic, winning this argument, or satisfying this sexual desire. There are moments when our happiness and contentment shrink to getting those new shoes or to the steak that is just 10 minutes away. There are moments when who we are, who God is, and where this whole thing is going shrink into the background of the thoughts, emotions, and needs of the moment. There are moments when we get lost in the middle of God's story. We lose our minds, we lose our sense of direction, and we lose our remembrance of Him. God reminds us that this is not all there is, that we were created and recreated in Christ Jesus for eternity. He reminds us not to live for the treasures of the moment. Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. 6:19-20. Think about this. If God has already granted you a place in eternity, then He has also granted you all the grace you need along the way, or you'd never get there. There is grace for our fickle and easily distracted hearts. There is rescue for our self-absorption and lack of focus. The God of eternity grants you His eternal grace so that you can live with eternity in view. The best theology will not remove mystery from your life, so rest is found in trusting the one who rules, is all, and knows no mystery. Her voice quivered that morning as she told me to get home as quickly as I could. My wife, Luella, is a very emotionally stable woman. She isn't easily rocked. I knew what we were facing was serious because it had rocked her. I was about 6 hours away. With my assistant, I made the nervous trip home. Nicole, our daughter, had started her walk home from work late the previous night, as she had done many nights before. A car driven by a drunk and unlicensed driver careered up on the sidewalk and crushed Nicole against a wall. She had devastating injuries, including 11 breaks of her pelvis and massive internal bleeding. When I finally got to the hospital and walked into Nicole's intensive care room, I did what any father with a drop of parental blood in him would do. I fell apart. I crawled up on Nicole's bed, not sure if she could hear me, and said, "It's Dad, you're not alone, and God is with you too." When I walked into that room, it was as if the whole world went dark. My heart cried, Why? If I could choose, I wouldn't have any of my children go through such a thing. And if I had had to choose one of my children, I wouldn't have chosen Nicole at that moment in her life. She seemed so vulnerable. In an instant, we were cast into life-changing mystery, and our theological non-negotiables didn't take that mystery away. Nicole did recover well, but we lived through 4 years of travail. I held on to the thought that our lives were not out of control. We were comforted again and again with the thought that when it came to Nicole's accident, God was neither surprised nor afraid. You see, there is no mystery with God. He is never caught off guard. He never wonders how he is going to deal with the unexpected thing. I love the words of Daniel 2:22. He knows what is in the darkness, and light dwells with him. God is with you in your moments of darkness because he will never leave you. But your darkness isn't dark to him. Your mysteries aren't mysterious to him. Your surprises don't surprise him. He understands all the things that confuse you the most. Not only are your mysteries not mysterious to him, but he is in complete charge of all that is mysterious to you and me. Remember today that there is one who looks at what you see as dark and sees light. And as you remember that, remember too that he is the ultimate definition of everything that is wise, good, true, loving, and faithful. He holds both you and your mysteries in his gracious hands, and because he does, you can find rest even when the darkness of mystery has entered your door. If you're tired of trying to make sense of everything, this prayer is for you. Type Amen if you're trusting God's bigger story today, and subscribe this channel, please.